everyone, welcome to Online Study for You, one-step solution for all your placement needs. I hope you all are well and safe. So in this video, we are going to do the discussion of pseudo codes that were asked in the Infosys exam today in the morning slot. So this video is going to be very helpful for you. We'll be discussing the technical questions, the pseudo codes that were asked from the student. So make sure to watch the video till the end, and also what else you can do that do share this video among your friends who are having the exam. And don't forget to subscribe our channel if you haven't subscribed till now. This channel is definitely going to be very helpful for you. So make sure to subscribe our Online Study for You channel and also be a part of our Telegram channel. The link for the Telegram channel is given in the description itself. Right. So without any delay, let's start with our first question. So this is the first question. The question says that what will be the output of the following program? So basically there is a for loop given to us that is running from for m equal to 10, m greater than equal to 1, m equal to m divided by 2, and here we are printing the value of m as well. So first of all we are printing the value of m, so that will be 5. Now we are reducing m by 2, so that will give us 5. So 5 will be printed. Again we are reducing m by 2, so that will be 2 will be printed. Again we are reducing m by 2, so that will give us 1. So 1 will be printed. 10, 5, 2, 1, that will be our correct answer for this particular question. So option 2 will be correct. This is our next question, that what will be the output when num equal to 3 and values are passed in order 2, 1, 6. Here we are having an integer res, and initially we have initialized this with 0, and here we are taking this num. So num value they have given as 3. Now simply we are running a loop for c equal to 1 to num, that is c less than equal to 3, because num values were 3, and also we are incrementing the value of c, that is we are doing c++. Now we are taking the value as input, so that is, so you can see the first value given for value, that is 2. So what we are taking this 2 and we are adding this to res. So res value what was initially 0, so we are doing res plus value, that will give us res value will be what, 2, and here we are incrementing the res, so that will res will become 3 now. Now again the c value will be incremented, that will be 2. 2 less than equal to 3, condition is true. Now again we are taking the value, so that will give us 1, right, that will give us 1. Or we are adding, what we are doing, we are adding this particular value to res, so that will give us 4, res plus plus, so that will become 5. Again 3 less than equal to 3, condition is still true, so now the value given is 6. So we are adding this 6 to 5, that will give us 11, and then we are incrementing the value of res, that is res plus plus. So what will be the value in res now? That will be 12. Okay, so the correct answer for this one is 12. So 12 will be the correct answer. Next question is that in which of the following method of parameter passing changes made to the parameter inside the function have effect on the actual parameters? So you must be knowing that in call by value, we are having two ways for calling the parameters. Okay, we have two ways basically to pass the arguments to the called function. That is, one is call by value and one is call by reference. Call by value, we are just copying the value of the actual arguments to the formal arguments, right? That is what we are doing. But in case of call by reference, we are actually providing the address itself. So that's why whatever changes will be made to the parameters that is present in the called function, this change will be reflected to our actual arguments as well. So that's why the correct answer for this one will be call by reference, right? Let's see our next question. So this is our next question. What will be the final value in res? They are asking that what will be the final value in res. So you can see val has been initialized with 0 and res has been set to 200. Now we are doing if val is what, 0, and res equal to val plus 5, right? Res equal to val plus 5. What do you think? This if condition will be executed? No, right? Because for if condition to be executed, both the conditions, like both these things should be true. But here you can see 0 is what? 0 denotes what? False. Okay, 0 denotes false. Okay, so that's why this if condition won't be executed, and we will come out of this, and you can see, so there has been no change in res value. So whatever the value was initially, that was 200. So RES will remain as it is. So 200 will be the correct answer for this particular question. Here's our next question, that which of the following is not a clustering algorithm? K means clustering algorithm we do have. Mean shift clustering algorithm is there. DB-scan is also a clustering algorithm and the full form is density based clustering algorithm. Hidden Markov models is not a clustering algorithm, although they are used in some purpose of clustering only, but it is not a clustering algorithm. So option 3, that will be the correct answer for this particular question. So here's our next question. So what we are doing here, you have to tell the output of the given program. Here we are having a function call that is taking an integer and returning x into y. Okay, this is what it is doing. So basically here we have integer x equal to 5, y equal to 10, z equal to 20, and here we are doing display z plus z is 20 plus call xy. So to this call function, we are passing two values, x that is 5 and y that is 10, or returning x into y. So 5 into 10, that will be 50. So here call xy will give us 50. Okay, so 50 plus 20 will give us 70. So what will be the correct answer? Option C, that is 70 will be the correct answer for this particular question. Here we are having that in how many iterations will the pseudo code find value 25 when array equal to, so array given is 12, 34, 67, 25, 89, right? So basically what is happening here, so a for loop is there and we are basically comparing each element present in the array to that of this particular value. Value is what? 25. So they are asking that in how many iterations we will be able to get this match. Okay, so see, first of all we will compare well, that is 25 with this one, that is not equal. So we can have a count basically initially that is 0. After this comparison that will be 1. Again we will compare here, so that will be 2. Again we will compare here, so that will be 3. Again we will compare here. So you can say in the fourth iteration, right? In the fourth iteration we got this particular match. So option B will be the correct answer for this particular question. So this is the kind of fill in the blank that students are getting, that dash are a way to synchronize the access of shared resources between Go routines. So atomic functions, you must have read about this. Atomic functions we use for what? For synchronization of the access of shared resources, and also mutex lock we also use for the synchronization purpose. Option 1, that is atomic functions and mutexes are a way to synchronize the access of shared resources between Go routines. That will be the correct answer. Here we are having that which of the following is correct way to delete a key from a map. So the correct way to delete a key from a map is map.delete, and in this function you have to specify the key that you want to delete. So option B will be the correct answer. What code could convert the variable read to an unsigned 8-bit integer? So here the correct answer will be option B. The type conversion would be uint8 read. So this particular code we can use for the conversion of variable read to an unsigned 8-bit integer. Fine. Okay. So here you have to tell that how many times will this loop will be executed. So first of all we are having x equal to 1 to 10. Okay, and we are taking one step only. So see, as of now what is the value of x? That is 1. So nothing will happen. We will continue. Again x value is what? 2. X value is equal to, even then this loop will execute, although is the condition given if x equal to 2. So continue. So we will continue with the loop. So 2 times it has been executed. Now x equal 3. X equal 3. Then in that case also that will work fine. X equal 4. So this time also loop will execute, but here the condition is given that if x equal 4, so we have to break. So how many times the loop will be executed? 4 times, right? 4 times the loop will be executed. So option C will be the correct answer for this particular question. Here is our next question. We are having an array having elements 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, an integer item that has been set to 10, an integer k that has been set to 3, an integer n that has been set to 5, integer j. J we are storing the value of n, that is 5, and now we are incrementing the value of n, that is n plus 1, so that will be 6. Now we are simply taking a while loop. We are simply taking a while loop while j is what? 5. 5 greater than equal to 3. Fine. While j greater than equal to k, so while 5 greater than equal to 3, and we are doing ARR j. J value is what? J value is what? 5, right? So 5 plus 1 equal to ARR of j, that is 5. Now 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see there is neither sixth element present and neither fifth element present. So maybe some random value will be there, right? This is what we can make the assumption. Some random value will be there at the sixth and fifth index. So we are saying that whatever random value is there at the fifth index of the given array ARR, just store this to the sixth index as well. Okay, and then we are reducing the value of j. So now j has become 4. 4 greater than equal to 3, yes, condition is still true. So again we are doing ARR j plus 1, that is 4 plus 1, that is 5. To 5 store the value that is stored at the fourth index of the given array ARR. So what is the value stored? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 8 is stored at the fourth index of the given array ARR. So the same value will be stored, that is 8 will be stored itself to the fifth index of the ARR, right? So fifth, like the fifth element of the given array will be 8. Now again j value will be reduced, and now this time it is going to be 3. 3 greater than equal to 3, condition is still true. Now we are doing ARR 3 plus 1, that is 4. Store the value of ARR 3. So you can see on ARR 3 what we are having: 0, 1, 2, 3. So this 7 we are having, and we are saying that store this 7 to fourth index. So now this not be 8, this will be 7, and this we are having at the fifth index 8. Fine. Now 8 j value will be further decremented, that will be 2 greater than equal to 3. The condition is false, we will come out of the loop. Now what we are doing, ARR of k value is what? 3. So ARR of 3 equal to item. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Here we have to put 10 now. So here we are modifying this. So the correct answer will be 1, 3, 5, 10, 7, 8. So option 1, 2, 3. That is option 3 will be the correct answer for this particular question. I hope you must have understood the answer. So this is it for this video. I hope this video has helped you a lot and helped you getting some kind of idea regarding what sort of questions they are asking. So in terms of technical domain, so they are asking some questions from operating system, some questions from even from machine learning as well, like this clustering algorithm and so in technical domain they can ask you from anywhere talking about pseudocode. So you can see the level is not that difficult. It is in terms of for loops, functions, and so that we usually do have in Capgemini. So if you want to do the further practice, you can check out the videos that are present on our YouTube channel with reference to Capgemini. That will be helpful for you for your pseudocode preparation. So thank you so much for this video. All the best those who are having the exam. Keep learning. Thank you, everyone.